So I just finished the second longest book I've ever read in my life, and it was phenomenal. The book is called 11/22/63 by Stephen King. Just in perspective, the longest book I've ever read was a while ago. It was Shantaram, which is a little over 900 pages. This is just under 900 pages. But both books just went by fast. I actually read some of this and listened to the audio book a little bit because I was driving down to San Diego and I just wanted something to listen to while I was driving. So I listened to a couple hours down, a couple hours back, and then I read the rest of it. I have never read a Stephen King book in my life. This is my absolute first one. I think I've always been kind of hesitant to read it because I thought they're either cliched or I've seen some of the movies when I was younger, like the Tommyknockers. I've seen, obviously, Misery. I thought was phenomenal. But I was like, can the book really be as good as that? I've never seen The Shining. I've never read The Shining. Obviously, people say that's a classic, so I am inclined to read that. I heard Stephen King, I think, didn't like the movie too much. But this one, I had actually seen the James Franco JFK series, and I thought that was great. And I was like, can the book be any as good or any better than that? And I've already seen it. Why do I want to hear the story twice? Why would I want to read a story that I already know? And boy, was I wrong. I'm sure I'm wrong about Misery and Shining and a lot of great books that are based on movies and shows that are based on these books. This one was, the whole concept is he finds like a portal that goes back in time. I'm not going to give too many spoilers away. So this is just the premise of it. He finds a portal that goes back in time and he thinks like, hey, if we go back in time, we can stop the JFK assassination. And I love these stories that are kind of like what ifs. I love dystopian stories. I love science fiction. Some, I loved them when I was younger. Some of them just don't appeal to me anymore. But I thought, hey, what a great concept. He goes back, he stops the JFK assassination, and that's it. Kind of like how this series was. Does he do it? You know, can he do it? I guess he can. If there's a portal, you go back in time, you have all this insider knowledge. Cool, you go and do it. I didn't think you can write this many pages on just that. The interesting part is the other things, the other stories that come along, they're like the side quests that turn into the main quest when he's trying to stop JFK from getting assassinated. And it leads to the whole concept on if you can travel back in time, if you can take a portal that goes back in time and you can stop certain things, would you stop it? If we can go back and stop Hitler, would we stop Hitler? If we can go back and some people want to stop the attempted assassination of Trump, if they were to do that, would Trump still be elected president? These are interesting concepts to think about. And one of the underlying themes in the book is when you can stop something, nature, the universe, or God, whatever, has a sense of putting it back on the table and making it happen regardless. So if you were to stop it now, maybe it happens in a week or in a month or in a year anyway. If you stop it now, things are going to turn out bizarrely, is that a word? It's going to turn out bizarre. Things are going to get possibly a lot worse. Leads me back to thinking about the revolution in Iran that most of my relatives and family lived through. If you go back in time and stop Khomeini, who came to Iran, who basically progressed the evolution for them to throw the Shah out and the Shah fled. If you were to go and kill Khomeini, would the revolution still happen? Would there just be someone else that fills that spot? If you kill a cartel boss, someone else fills that spot, right? So these are interesting things that make you think things are supposed to happen in a way. It's the destiny, fate type of argument. Things are supposed to happen in a way, but what can you really change? Can you change minor things? And then they talk about the butterfly effect. And the movie The Butterfly Effect, I recently rewatched, and I loved it when I watched it when I was younger. Now it was kind of so-so, but the whole concept, if you change one thing, one minor thing, if you stop someone from getting hit by a car, does that change the whole course of that city, of those people, of everything that happens, so on after that? And it's just an interesting thing to ponder about. And if you can actually go back and do it, it's cool to observe what happens and what are the possible ramifications of doing something noble, because the character is noble. He has some self-indulgences as well, but his whole moral compass is positive. He's trying to do something for the positive. And if he does it, what happens after that? if you were like me and you're kind of like, it's a long book, I don't know if I can get through a long book, I 100% believe you can. If you can get to a 200-page book, you can get to this. Think of it like if you watch a miniseries on Netflix, Hulu, you might think I can't get through a 6-hour series, but I can get through 6 1-hour series. So think of it like that. Maybe you're reading 4 200-page books. Don't also get discouraged by the side quests. He does eventually get to JFK, and you can read about it to see if he stops it or what happens if he were to stop it or why he can't stop it. But the side quests, the other people that he meets are just as, I think, maybe even more important to his life, which makes you think if you were to change something, how does your life turn out? If you can end up with the love of your life, but you stopped key historical parts in history, I mean, are you going to give up your love to stop that? Are you going to sacrifice your own stuff for that? And these are the questions that the book asks, and I think answers, at least from the perspective of the character. And you're kind of left to empathize with him, because you're like, I would probably do the same thing that he did, whether it's good or bad. I would probably do the same thing. And it's not one of those kind of things where the character just does some absurd things. You're like, I would never do that. If you're a moral person, I think you empathize with the character and you probably would travel the same paths. You may explore other things. If you can go back in time, would you bet money on a baseball game, or would you go and invest in Coca-Cola? Or what would you do so that you have money in the next 3-5 years? Maybe he needed money for the next 3 days, so he had to do some quicker stuff. Those are the cool things that Stephen King thinks about and puts in his book, that I think a lot of the thoughts I never had. I was like, if you go back in time, it's easy breezy. You just go back, gamble, make some money, and you're done. But what kind of attention does that bring? If you go stop a murder, what attention does that bring? Not just from maybe the federal government, but perhaps from the news, from people who are inclined to look at you funny because you have all this good luck. So I think it's a great book. Historical fiction, science fiction, I don't know what it falls into, but definitely worth a read. I am I want to read Misery next, just because I know the story. Misery was one of the scariest movies I watched when I was younger, because I was like, dude, if someone takes you captive and starts doing things to you where you can't escape, like physically beating you or destroying your knees, you're stuck. You're never going to be free. If you're in the cabin, how would you ever be free? You're a captive forever. And that's a scary thought, especially when I was younger. Even now, it's a scary thought. Let's say I'm writing a book and someone takes me captive and says, I'm going to break your legs. Literally, I'm going to break your legs until you finish the book. And once you finish the book, you can go. Well, books can take months to years to finish. Like, I'm captive for months to years. It's a scary thought for me. I know Stephen King has some scary books, so I'm just going to try to go through a few of them in the next few months and see if any of them can top this. Because of the YouTube videos I've watched, some of them say this is their top Stephen King book. And if it can't be topped, that's kind of a downer, because I would love to read something as good or better than this. And just to put in perspective, story-wise, this book, Shantaram, in my opinion, is better than this. So if you're looking for long books to read that you're going to enjoy, and they have story, they have characters that you just think about after. I think about the characters from Shantaram decades after. So like, if that's the type of book you want, where you feel like you've made friends and you're now engaged with their family, their friends, and you think about them and all that, these are two great books to read. If you're not into a prison mystery suspense novel, then read the Stephen King one. I think Stephen King is perhaps a little bit of a better writer, but this is still one of my most favorite books ever. If you see a book you want me to read, let me know. I haven't read all these books. There's a lot of nonfiction behind me and fiction, and over there's more fiction. If you have any book recommendations, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love to read with you. This was Arash. Thanks for watching.